Welcome back to Turning Tables. Well, I just had a very good lunch out and now it's my turn to cook. And of course, I always do something slightly different from that which I have received. This time I'm going to do a traditional Welsh recipe, so I'd better go and find the right ingredients. Good morning. I'm going to do a classic Welsh dish for my next programme, cawl. Neck of lamb, I suppose it is, yeah. I don't want finger with it, thank you. And I think a bit of, have you got a bit of smoked bacon?
Already pre-sliced.
Well, I'll have that. 780, extremely good. Right, diolch yn fawr. I'd like a nice big leek, please, and a medium Swede. Medium. That'll do. Right, I'm back in my kitchen and I'm going to make cawl, that Welsh classic. Some people say it's the national dish of Wales, and here's what goes into it. So we start with lamb. It's a cheap cut neck of lamb. We've got some bacon bits which are going to frizzle in the bottom, some stock. We've got some of those mushy peas, but they won't get so mushy in this one, just a little addition. And the flavours, we've got finely chopped onion and celery. We've got fresh parsley, we've got bay leaf, peppercorns, sage and rosemary, and all those lovely rooty things there. Look, turnip, little swede, carrots, potato, and of course leek. We'll use lashings of leek. But first I'm going to drop the lamb into some hot water and bring it to the boil so I can take off any scum that rises to the surface. So we're scalding the lamb as our first step. We're going to chop up the root vegetables, and the idea is that in their shape and their colour, they're going to have, you know, a bit of fun about them. So we'll cut them all in a slightly different way. And turn it. And we'll go for this carrot in longer pieces. And this one we'll do in conventional rounds. We don't want that scum in our main dish, so we'll just pop these bits of meat out and we'll leave the scum behind as a reject. It's not been in there long enough to take much flavour, if any, out of the meat. So now those smoky bacon bits are sizzling away, and we'll add the lamb on top, just to brown slightly in there, help develop that flavour. In goes the chopped onions and the celery. The bay leaf, the rosemary, the sage, and the peppercorns. We'll add in just a touch of flour, which will absorb the oil and butter and eventually help us give it a slightly thicker soup base. And now we pour in some stock, just from a stock cube. This is chicken stock cube. In that goes. Maybe a bit more liquid. And our roots. But not yet the potatoes or the leeks. We're going to let this cook, say, for about an hour. And then we'll add the potatoes and leeks, because they take a lot longer to cook. Now at this point I'm going to take the meat out, because I'm going to strip it from the bones and then pop it back in, so people don't have to pick bones out of the meat. We'll add those processed peas, and the potato and the leek goes in, because that doesn't need as much cooking. And this will all go back as nice chunks in the cowl. Good. As a final touch, I've got some finely chopped leek, green leek, and some parsley. And we'll toss that on. And it doesn't really want to cook very much because it's practically cooked. It'll just give a sort of freshness of taste and give a spring lightness to the dish. Cowl. And of course, Welsh, to make a cowl of something is to make a mess of something, but this isn't a mess, not really. And my guests this afternoon are my former co-diner, Dan Thomas, and our former host, Ian Ashford from Mojo, Birchgrove in Cardiff. Now, when we had lunch, we had this splendid tapas spread, Spanish origin. We had lots of dishes. We had tortilla, we had stuffed pepper, we had pork and mushrooms, those wonderful prawns, meatballs, rich sauces. Wasn't it good? Fancy cocktails. You're getting one dish, okay? And you're getting the national dish of Wales, cowl, which is lamb and vegetables, very simple, very traditional, but I hope it tastes good. In the meantime, you've got some Welsh cider, some Welsh water, and we can do some continental wine. I'll bring that in a minute.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, as well.
As usual, you have a bit of bread and cheese to hand.
Oh, lovely.
To go with the cowl. And a little bit of wine if you want to switch some cider later. I'll give you a variety. Okay, I'll go and get the stew.
Thank you.
Is that good?
Chianti.
Is that a continental mac?
Well, a bit of a wine connoisseur myself, so seems reasonable quality.
Are you an expert at wine?
No, to be honest, no. My old man is tends to be the wine connoisseur.
You got any cheese in? There's a bunch of cheese in your restaurant, actually.
Well, we're looking to obviously introduce, similar to what you had earlier, the kind of variations of bread with obviously the olive oil, but similar sort of format to that. We're going to use a variety of various Spanish cheeses. So yeah, that's something we're going to introduce. Yeah. So another thing on the agenda.
Here we have the cowl. You don't have to eat it all. Leave some for me.
Right.
I'll try and give you a
That's
mix.
a very serious ladle.
Well, it's a serious dinner. You need a serious ladle for a serious dinner. It's good Welsh lamb from Cardiff Market. Where else would we go?
Looks very nice.
And you can help yourself to any of the dainties. See how it goes.
Looks very nice. Looks like there's 4 or 5 a day in here.
I think there's 6 of you 5 a day in there.
Where is that? This is, I associate with this with having a coal in the 80s. I think that's probably the last time I had coal.
Yeah.
We tried the cheese. The cheese is really nice as well. That's quite unusual. It's quite crumbly.
Grab it.
Oh, I like the way you eat, Dan. Tearing hunks of bread and dipping it in the sauce. This meal's made for you. It's basic peasant stuff. Tuck in.
I really enjoyed that.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. You know, it's the first time I've ever made cowl in my life.
Really?
But in the last series we did of Turning Tables, I made a French dish called pot au feu, and I realised it's the same thing, really. It's meat, and then you add the vegetables bit by bit, so you keep the right kind of, you know, the vegetables are not overcooked or whatever. I think it's everywhere, isn't it? It's Lancashire hot pot, it's lobscouse. It's a basic home cooking food, and good for your cold, as your mum said.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to ask you now, this meal, just on its merits, don't compare it with the other one, but I'd like to rank it out of 10.
On its own merits, all the bread, the cheese, the cider, everything, I'm going to say 8.
Oh, wait, that's not bad. Hey, you've won. I don't mind. I'll bow down to you. Well, there we are. I got 8, he got 9, but I don't mind because they've obviously enjoyed it. And we look forward to turning tables next week when we'll be eating something out that's different and we'll be cooking something that's different in here. So, till then, turning tables next week. Cheerio. And for now, gentlemen, I'm going to say thanks very much and cheers. I got the wine, you got the cider, but we'll all have a clink.